So
Yes.
my understanding is that you were one of the first logistics team members in the US for Tarte. So can you speak a little bit to kind of how that came about and how you built from there?
Always like in awe.
So our guest today has been in logistics for over 25 years. Cherylann has worked across a pretty wide range of industries: fine art, luxury goods, fashion, tech, e-commerce. She's also handled a wide range of duties in the industry across her career, from ocean and air shipments to global customs, compliance, cross-border operations. She is currently the Senior Global Logistics Manager at Tarte Cosmetics. Cherylann, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, I want to kick it off with your 25 years of experience. Incredible. Can you touch a little bit on how you got your start and kind of what made you stay in this crazy and wild industry for so long?
That's interesting. I actually got started in global logistics, honestly, because I was a young mom.
Yeah.
I had 3 kids at the time, my first set of twins, and I had a small baby. And I really was just looking for a better job. And I used this temp agency that helped me to get this customer service opportunity at Brinks.
Okay.
And that's how I actually got into it, which is hilarious because I honestly did not know anything about global logistics. And I honestly did not even know what global logistics was.
Yeah, I feel like that's most people when they end up in the industry, they kind of just fall into it.
Exactly. But what made me stay, I would say that my passion is honestly serving people. Right. My passion is, I love empowering and encouraging others. And within this industry, you get to interact with so many different people and you get to really have an opportunity to just, share knowledge as you go. And I love the fast pace, the excitement, the stress sometimes, the problem
Yeah.
solving. And I think that keeps me like really happy and excited. Sounds weird, but when you're in this world, you would definitely say, yeah, I get what she's saying. So that's why I've stayed thus far.
Yep, I can relate to that for sure. It's like a fun chaos. I always joke that I kind of thrive in the chaos of it all.
Exactly.
Well, you've obviously held roles, just looking at your LinkedIn and your work history, you've held roles on both the operations and compliance side of the business. So how has that sort of combination shaped your perspective on this industry, generally speaking?
I would say that when I first started in global logistics, truthfully, I started off in more of domestic diamond and jewelry at Brinks, right? And then I worked my way up where I was the network manager after a while of being at Brinks and started working with learning imports, exports, domestic. But when I went to Christie's, I started working with fine art, and now I was working with higher value goods as well, but also tapping into a different region altogether.
Yeah.
When I went to Choice, that's when I learned about global trade solutions. I would say that to me, when you have an understanding of the global logistics side of the
Yeah.
business and then you get the compliance side, to me, that's like a one-stop shop person right there, especially if they're proficient in both areas. Usually you would have to hire either a compliance person, right? Or you'll have to hire a global logistics person. And then you have two separate departments. But to have the understanding for both worlds, it gives you an opportunity to make wiser decisions. And when you're planning, executing shipments as well as coordinating and working with other teams or other companies, worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you just have a much more well-rounded perspective.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a cool career journey. I mean, you clearly have a
Yeah.
lot of knowledge in this industry.
It was really strategic, I have to say.
I love
So if you look at my background, I could have stayed in like the luxury brand world. I could have stayed in the armored service world, but I'm one of those people that I love to learn and I like to be challenged. And also I'm always curious to understand like, so what makes the difference between moving jewelry to
that.
clothing to technology, to fine art? Like what's the difference? Realized throughout my career that there are different rules and regulations that you have to master and know. And I think that's what makes me even more like, yes, I want to continue my journey in this industry.
Yeah, it's like the more you learn in this industry, the more curious you get, and it's like a drug
Yes.
almost. You need to know more. You've worked in, as you've mentioned, a wide variety of industries: freight forwarding, even working at 3PLs. More recently, more B2C brands like Harry Winston, Tarte Cosmetics. What are some of the biggest things you've learned across those wide-ranging industries? I mean, you touched a little bit on like the differences between shipping different products, but anything else that you feel like has been super valuable in just being having such a wide ranging career?
I think for me, the understanding like the rules and regulations of moving products, I think is key.
Yeah.
And so, for example, at Harry Winston, you're dealing with jewelry, so you have to know about Kimberly certificates, right? We did a lot of CITES because we were working, some of your watch straps can have like, like alligator skin. Or so it's like you're learning all these different rules. We did like carnets, which is like usually a carnet is like a passport where you utilize that to save costs on duties and taxes. So when you have a big operation where you're moving jewelry or say moving cargo from one country to another country, you're really trying to save costs.
Yeah.
With cosmetics, I would say it's very fast paced.
Yeah.
You can have a trend today, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to get this ship product to the customer as fast as
Yeah.
possible. I would say even take a step back to like fine art. Like I learned about OFAC licenses when moving Persian rugs. I learned about fish and wildlife,
Mhm.
right? So it's like so many different areas that you would never really touch if you just did standard, just basic shipping, right? So for me, I was just like, wow, like I didn't even know all these things exist,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know?
my gosh. Yeah. I'm learning more
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. So I can teach people on all these things.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh my gosh. Well, I can
Yes.
imagine with a brand like Tarte or just any brand similar to that, kind of follows trends like you mentioned, and maybe
Yes.
has sometimes some overnight virality. You're dealing with TikTok shop and influencer channels. What are some of the different like freight needs and expectations that you see in an industry like that, comparatively speaking to a more traditional B2C industry, I guess?
Yeah, I think you always have to be prepared because, like you said, social media might drive,
Yeah,
the reason why you have this trend all of a sudden, right? I think one thing that I love with Tarte personally is Tarte has an amazing marketing strategy. I
clearly
just love
online.
it. Like, honestly, like, I always admire how hard my colleagues work and they're so determined. Our CEO, like I am always like in awe. Like honestly, like the strategic thinking and knowing how to stay relevant in such an industry, beauty
Yeah,
to me is like unbelievable, amazing. And I think that Tarte does an amazing job of that. From a logistics perspective, it's really about ensuring that we find the right resources, we have the right relationships, the right pricing, of
yeah,
course, to ensure that we can meet the needs whenever there's a trend. So on our end, it's really about being prepared and selection of the carrier that you utilize and the business relationship that you build is key in my eyes. And I think that is what has helped me to be successful in ensuring that whenever we do have a trend that we're meeting the needs by getting that goods into that customer's hand. Everyone wants the Amazon effect. And trust me, we work really hard behind the scenes to provide that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you're dealing with different ways of shopping than some other industries are,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, it's a relationship-based business, and it sounds like it's working for you
Absolutely.
guys.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the key things that I can say that has allowed me to be successful in this role throughout my career. It's about relationship because at the end of the day, I always say teamwork makes the dream work. I literally say that all the
It's like
time.
it's
And I
cheesy, but
mean
it's
that.
true.
Yes, I mean that. I honestly mean that.
Yeah,
I heard it from a pastor a few years ago, and I literally have embodied that thought process because at the end of the day, we hear that saying takes a village, right? To raise a child. It takes a village to really bring to life, what you see in the store or what you have in your hands when you order offline. And with the industry continuously changing and shifting and technology really taking a stronger presence in global logistics, it's really about the partnership and how you connect with people and how you work with others to ensure that you can get the best out of each teams, regardless of who you're working with.
yeah, absolutely. So true. I'm curious now that you've been, in the freight forwarding side and in the 3PL space as well. So now that you spent the latter half of your career on the shipper side of the business, what does a really good broker relationship look like to you when you do work with brokers, and what kind of separates the good from the great in your opinion?
I think it's about understanding the business needs. I think that, and that has to be communicated effectively by whichever. If you're the
Yeah.
customer, you need to have clear expectations as for what you want and how you want to be serviced, right? But at the same time, there has to be that level of respect for your partner and working with that company to ensure that you can get the best out of the whole situation. Throughout my career, like I said, I'm very strategic on building relationships with
Yeah.
people. My golden rule in life is do unto others like you're like others to do unto you. So I actually take that mindset with everything that I do. And so even when it's like sourcing a new carrier, I actually want to get to know who you are. And I want to ensure that you understand what my needs are. And I want to also understand what your needs
Yeah.
are too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we can demand, 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 and they can say, listen, I can't do this. So it's about really just pure transparency. I also think that what makes a bad, I wouldn't use the word bad, but what causes a relationship not to work successfully from a brokerage perspective to me is really about when you sell expectations but don't meet it.
Yeah. Yeah. Overpromise
Right.
and underdeliver.
Exactly. And I think that can cause a lot of conflict and frustration. I think one of the things that I have utilized for myself and my team and everywhere I've worked is my experience. So because I had the opportunity to work on the shipper side, or I've had to work on the 3PL side, or I have to work on the customer side, I actually marry it up. So you can't sell me stuff when, because I literally say, well, that's not how it
Yeah,
works.
you're like, trust me, I know.
I can call the airline myself.
Yeah.
That's not the market rate right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're talking about. But I think that when people see that you are knowledgeable, when they see that you're leading from a space of humility
Yeah.
and understanding,
Absolutely.
you actually gain a lot out of that. And I think that's one of the things that people have this misconception. Global logistics on a whole, or just supply chain on a whole, is very like fast, very
Absolutely.
demanding.
Yep.
And it's really about how can I partner with this person or this company or this team so I can be able to bring forth whatever it is that I've been challenged or tasked to do,
Yeah.
right? So you can't bring forth it with a negative attitude or being difficult or being, belligerent. You gotta really know how to be kind and sweet.
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm very good with that. I know how to get what I want.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. No, I love what you said about humility. I think people come into this industry and they get nervous about not knowing enough. And so, like you said,
Yes,
they maybe overpromise and underdeliver with good intentions of trying to just look like they know what they're doing. But
yes,
oftentimes it's better to just say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to find out and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
absolutely.
So
Yes.
my understanding is that you were one of the first logistics team members in the US for Tarte. So can you speak a little bit to kind of how that came about and how you built from there?
Actually, when I got hired, my former VP actually, he was looking for someone just to aid with supporting the logistics overall at the organization
Yeah.
because it was really more spearheaded from a different division. And so when I came in, one of the reasons what attracted me to Tarte and that role was the e-commerce side because I never did e-commerce. And like if I said, if we look at my career journey, I've jumped from different industries, but there was always a strategy behind my thought process.
Yeah.
And so getting into Tarte, I got to learn about e-commerce and building up that side of the business from a transportation
Yeah.
perspective. I basically came in, and I looked at just their overall network. So cost savings was one of my main focus, really finding the right carriers and building those relationships. I touched on compliance, where just really working to make sure that we refined how we handled our international shipments and really just overall just implementing strategies and SOPs and streamlining how we operate from a global logistics
Yeah.
perspective was what I kind of focused on. It was interesting because I was the only person at that
Yeah.
time but with time I was able to build a team up and we were able to build a team of with global logistics and compliance, and now we actually have our own compliance team altogether, which makes me proud because
Yeah.
at least I know that I played a key role in bringing that whole vision to life. And it was definitely a great learning curve, but the attitude, the willingness, the determination for all of us to really bring the global logistics side of Tarte in the US, especially, more streamlined and more, I should say, taking it to the next level
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah.
really definitely was a great opportunity for me. And I think that it definitely stretched me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I mean, really building a team like that is a challenge
Yeah.
for sure. I'm curious, you've touched a little bit on your working style and leadership style, and you even mentioned in your LinkedIn that you really like to take the mindset of being a servant leader, which I love. I'm curious, just sort of what's your philosophy or some things that you talk to your team about as far as building a team that can perform under pressure and in such a fast-paced environment?
I'm definitely strong in my faith. So I can tell you that my focus and my vision and how I live my life, I really honestly try my best to stay aligned with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And that's just the facts. I strongly look to his examples to utilize in how I interact with others.
Yeah,
And I think one of the things which I always have this conversation with every young person is that we tend to not understand our work and we seek our work from validation from others, right? When we were already born to be great, we were already born to prosper, right? We're the head, not the tail. And so for me, as a leader, I'm consistently reminding my team that they are powerful, that they can do all things through Christ. I literally have this conversation all the time. I think it's important, right? I'm very big about empowering and encouraging others. I want you to be the best version of
yeah,
you. I don't believe in having an employee and I don't know when it's their birthday. I don't know what they like. I don't know what colors, what is their favorite color, what's their favorite snack.
yeah,
I think that we're family.
yeah,
We literally work together, sometimes 12, 13 hours, depending on the flow of that week or that day,
yeah. You
right?
sometimes see it
And
more than
so
your family.
Absolutely, especially in global logistics. You're working, different hours based on the time zones. So to me, it's like about always reminding everyone that I work with, like, listen, we're a team. I have your back. I expect you to have my back. We're going to continue to push each other. If I have an employee that says, I love, working on global logistics, but I really want to understand the analytical side of the business. As their leader, I am going to ensure that I find somewhere to help them get to that skill.
Yeah,
It's interesting because my team sometimes there's like you, they're like, Cherylann, you're so empowering, you're always so supportive. And I'm not saying that I don't get frustrated. I'm not saying
right.
that I don't have my days where I literally want to scream.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, like, we're human
yeah,
and we're mistakes will happen. And instead of me like literally losing my cool and be like, oh my God, how could you do that? My attitude is, hey, the mistake already happened. We need to find a solution. And the next step is let's put in some type of control so we could avoid this from happening in the future.
yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, for me, is I want to see you grow. I want to see you shine. That's actually how I lead and interact with others. And it's helped me to be a very amazing leader. I mean, I know I have more to learn, but
We're all always
it
learning.
exactly, but that's just my style. I've
Yeah,
always utilized this way of thinking. And, throughout my career, I've always had like my directors or my VPs or, CEOs will come to me and say, Cherylann, I really love how you lead and I really appreciate how much you pour into others. And I think it's important. I don't think we pour into each other. I think we spend so much time trying to compete or
yeah.
discourage or to make others look less than. And I have a problem with that. And so for me, my attitude is one of the things that Tarte says is lead with kindness. And so I've naturally always led with kindness. And that's just a mindset that I've always had. And I think that is important. And I guarantee you I will never change
No, I
it.
mean, you're clearly an empowering leader. And I mean, you're clearly so authentically yourself. So you should be very proud of what you built. And it's wonderful that you get to work for an organization as well that just aligns so well clearly with your personal
Yes,
values. That's always super important when picking a place to work. So that's wonderful.
absolutely correct on that
Yeah.
one. Absolutely. Yes.
Shifting gears just a tad, what is the biggest shift that you feel like you've seen in global logistics across your career? From day one in that first role that you got just to make ends meet and didn't know that was going to be your career forever, and to now, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen?
I think when I first started, it was a lot of paper.
Yes, of course. Everything's a
You
bit
know,
more electronic.
Exactly. All this paper files, you
Right.
had like
Oh my
500
god.
files on your desk,
Yeah,
and you would literally like go through that file to like,
find a
make sure did
carrier.
I send it for the invoicing? Did I do this? Did I do that? I think now what I've realized is it's more lean. Technology has definitely increased our ability from a global logistics perspective, sorry, to actually reach more people. I think that data analytics has become really prevalent in how you determine and decide, like, where you would want to put like a warehouse, where you would want to like open a new store. I think that now with
Yeah,
AI, definitely it's becoming, this huge trend in our
yeah,
industry. And I think that is a great added value. But at the same time, I do know that it can impact the earth. So for me, it's like you can utilize the tool for sure, just be
yeah,
responsible. But I'm really excited for where we are now from a global logistics perspective. It's easier. You get better reportings. You have I can honestly like sit down and say, okay, I want to get an idea of how many ocean shipments that we've been shipping. And I just run a report and I can easily like provide that
yep,
information. Whereas before we didn't have that. So I think that definitely we're growing tremendously, and technology, I would say, has definitely helped logistics or global logistics on a whole propel itself to the next level.
yeah, absolutely. If you could kind of change one thing about how like brokers slash carriers and shippers work together, what would it be?
That's a good question. I think it would be about partnership. I get so many emails and phone calls from different
Yeah, of
companies,
course.
like, just saying, hey, I would love to like speak to you about my services. And I know that everyone is doing their cold calling and they're trying their best to get their foot in. I feel in my heart that it's really about partnership and how you connect with others, and everyone is offering the same
Yeah,
service, but the personalization of it is what's key. And I think that with all the technology that companies are utilizing, to track trends, to reach out to customers, I literally had like an AI bot call me, and that was very like annoying in
yeah,
my
you're like,
eyes,
I'm
right?
not sure how I'm supposed to build a relationship with this bot.
Exactly. And I feel like sometimes because we're so focused on revenue or profit, we take that personalization out of the
Yeah,
equation. And I feel like the more successful relationships stem from that personalization side of it. When I work with the carriers that I work with, I appreciate them because they understand my needs. They know what the challenges are, even when it's not of added value for them.
yeah,
They will still share information or educate me on areas of strategies that I never even thought
yeah,
of. And they're like, hey, Cherylann, I think you can look into this. It's not going to bring revenue to my company, but it will probably benefit you at your
yeah,
company. And I like that because then that makes me say to myself, okay, this person, it's not about just me being a number in their
yeah,
company, but it's about really relationship and that they're looking out for me. And so that leads me to want to work closer with them. And even if I can't give them more business, I definitely would share their name and their information to others because of the fact that I appreciate that they're doing their absolute best for my organization or the company that I work for or for me,
yeah.
and trying to help us be the best that we can in whatever we do.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're going above and beyond. They're doing something they don't have to do. And that tells
Absolutely
you like,
correct.
oh,
Yes.
they're doing this for the sake of the relationship, not because they're going to make money.
Absolutely. And you can tell I'm very big about authenticity. Like I am very big about that.
Yeah.
Like I can't help it. That is one of the things that I look for in anyone in relationships and partnerships. I want to know that you genuinely care and that you want to see my organization, do well, right? And succeed. And it should never be about, yes, I know we all want to make money. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not the case, but I'm just saying like if we've been in the industry long enough, we are able to badger or partner or share information with each other that can really be value for each other, and I think that's something that I appreciate with the people that I've been working with for the past few years in regards to like career relationships.
yeah. Absolutely. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. I want to just end it with like, I would love to know if there's anything that you're excited about in the near or far future for global logistics, generally speaking, for Tarte, anything that's getting you really excited right now.
Definitely curious to see how AI will
Yeah.
continue to.
We all are.
I'm really curious to see how AI will continue to develop and grow within the global logistics
Yeah.
world. I think that is definitely something that it piques my interest. My kids crack jokes on me because, they're like, what are you talking about? What do you know about AI? And I was like, well, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of one of the things that I'm excited to see what will be next for Tarte, because I think Tarte, like I said, I'm really proud of Tarte in regards to I've been there for 7.5 years, and I'm really proud of how Tarte has grown and continued to grow and continue to be such a positive impact.
Yeah.
It makes me smile, to know that I'm part of that group and I'm doing something to add value to
Yeah.
it. And overall, I think for me, it's really about what God has for me next. And I think that is what is really my biggest focus right now. What is next for Charlotte? And prayerfully, I know it's something great and I can't wait to see what that is.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yes.
One last question. Favorite Tarte
Mhm.
product?
Oh, oh, you put me on the spot.
I can start if you would
Um,
like. Mine would be the mascara, the tubing mascara. It's way.
The two, yes, yes, I have that on right
I do
now.
too.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness, I actually get to do modeling,
Really?
and so I have, yeah, so I have some my colleagues that had me laughing. I'm hilarious, though. I'm one of the most hilarious model they could have because my reactions is really authentic,
No, I'm
like honestly. Like I am not a makeup person. So whenever we do like photo shoots on the job or we do videos and after they do my makeup, I'm just like,
You're like, it's a
this
different
is so
person.
cute. Yes. And I'm like, what? This is so cool. I think for me, I'm definitely not a makeup person, but not because I work at Tarte. Okay, I'm just being
You're
real.
allowed to be a
Not because
little
I work at Tarte.
biased.
Exactly. But what I like is the smooth silkiness of the
Yeah.
concealer and the foundation. I mean, I love the mascaras, I love the eyeliners, but I think my favorite is Shape Tape
Yeah.
Ultra Creamy, and the Radiant one. Like I just love it, but it's so like, oh my god, it's smooth and it like gives you that full
Doesn't
coverage.
even
And
feel like it's there.
yeah, yes. When I first started working at Tarte, they had asked me to do a video,
Yeah.
right? And I was just like, okay, and a photo shoot. And I was like, okay. And I said, I never did this before,
Yeah, you're like,
never in
I'm
my
not a
life.
makeup girl. I don't know if I'm the right choice.
Exactly. And I literally remember the first photo shoot and video that I did, I wanted to cry
Oh,
because it made me feel so
I
beautiful.
love that.
And it was just unbelievable, like an amazing experience. And I remember walking through the office telling everyone, look at me. I love the Tarte products altogether. I really do. And actually all I wear is Tarte.
Yeah.
Not because I work
Yeah.
there. Please, I want to make that clear because I'm not being biased. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Like I actually really, really like it. And that's why I said I'm really proud. Genuinely from my heart, sincerely proud of our CEO. I'm just proud of my colleagues. I see how hard they work. I see how much time and dedication
Yeah.
and how much they do and how much they, like how many hours we spend, like they really care. And when you see these, influencers or just regular
Mhm.
people just, talking about the product and talking about how it makes them feel, I could relate because
Yeah.
that's how it makes me feel. It really makes me feel so like just beautiful,
Yeah.
you
I love
know.
that.
And so I'm definitely will say Shape Tape Concealer. Yep, yep. Because I
First
naturally,
like viral-ish product, I feel like. Shape Tape, like
yeah,
I don't know how many years ago it was, but I remember seeing it and being like, what is this Tarte
it's
company?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. It's really good. Like, and I always crack jokes because I always tell my colleagues, I have like 5,000 bags under my.
Well, it's the kids. I have them too. So
And they laugh so hard. They're like, Charlotte, stop. I'm like, I'm just saying, can you do something with these
Yeah,
bags,
give me
please?
some shade tape
You
over
know,
here.
do something, so but I mean, to God be the glory.
Thank you. It's been my absolute pleasure having you on. It's been a joy talking to you. I wish you
Thank
all the
you.
best, wishing Tarte all the best, and I hope you have a
Yes.
wonderful summer. Thanks for listening to Inside Freight by Fifth Wheel Freight, where we break down the logistics topics that matter to brokers, shippers, and carriers. FWF is a third-party logistics provider headquartered in Grand Rapids, Michigan, specializing in truckload, LTL, drayage, rail, overdimensional, and expedited freight across the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, visit FWF.com or follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube.